episode. Today I'm bringing you leaks regarding the 6th episode. In case you haven't watched a video of mine in which I introduced you with leaks regarding the very next episode, I highly recommend you to do so and then come back to watch this video. As I already said in my previous videos, all of those certain leaks seem to be quite accurate, so if you don't want anything spoiled, it's time for you to close this video. Before I start, let me give a quick shout out to Freaky Doctor, Spanish Game of Thrones related channel who shared this leak in the first place. The link of his channel as well as a link of translated post that basically translated whole Freaky Doctor's review will be in the description down below. The episode starts with the excursion beyond the wall, which includes Jon, Gendry, Thoros, Beric, Jorah, Tormund, the Hound, and 2 or 3 other unknown soldiers, I'm assuming members of the Brotherhood without banners. Sir Davos does stay on the wall because he isn't much of a fighter, as he said himself while defending Jon's body last season. The excursion continues through the north, and as they travel, a lot of conversation came up, which is when Jon offers Longclaw to Jorah. Jon Snow says that it belongs to him since it belonged to his family, but Jorah says something along the line, "No, you keep it, I'm not worthy of carrying this sword, my father gave it to you for a reason." Tormund and the Hound have a conversation about Brienne, which the Hound is amazed at how much Tormund admires and likes Brienne. They continue north by trying to follow the vision the Hound saw in the flames. They finally see the mountain shaped like an arrowhead. This is when a large blizzard starts and they hear a weird growl which they can't seem to recognize, but then one of the soldiers tries to find out what it is when out of nowhere reanimated polar bear shreds him, but because of the heavy blizzard no one is sure what has happened. This is when the beast attacks Thoros, who wields a flaming sword. The beast stomps Thoros and gives him a few slashes with his claws, but Thoros is also giving the bear a few slashes with his sword. When the Hound sees the flaming sword, he freezes in fear of the flames. However, they eventually manage to kill the beast, but Thoros is badly wounded, so Beric must cauterize his wounds with his flaming sword to try to save his life. The mission must continue, though with a man down and Thoros balancing between life and death, things look dire. This is when they realize that reanimated polar bear means that the White Walkers and their army of the dead are not far and they must hurry up, but no, they cannot avoid them. They run into a horde of whites and one White Walker that looks like the one Jon killed previously. That is when Jon battles his second White Walker one-on-one, and as Jon battles him, the others try to capture a white, but it's hard as the other whites also attack at the same time. At last they finally manage to capture one and either put it in chains or gag it to try to immobilize it. At this point the white army attacks all at once without mercy when Jon and his team see that the only thing they can do is run. The group then decides they must split for a little bit as they run to raise the chances of survival. Jon then commands Gendry to run back to Eastwatch where Sir Davos is waiting for them and send a raven to Dany to come and rescue them. After they run for a while, they come together in the middle of a frozen lake and all the movement and fight eventually breaks up parts of ice and Jon and his team are stuck in the middle of the lake on a large piece of ice that floats above the other smaller pieces of ice. Then they make a circle and get ready for the incoming horde, but the horde doesn't come because they must wait till the night so that the cold can freeze the lake again so they could attack. Jon and his team cannot do anything but to basically wait for the lake to freeze and for the army of the dead to attack them. While this happens, Gendry is running towards Eastwatch to send a raven. At this point much time has passed and Thoros succumbs to his injuries and dies. Beric then with his flaming sword burns Thoros to avoid him coming back as a white. During this time of waiting, the Night King lurks around and from afar stares at Jon and Jon stares back without a fear. The lake has finally refrozen and the horde rushes at Jon and his team. They run but end up fighting. While everyone is taking down a lot of whites, Tormund is almost overrun but is saved by his fellow companions. During this time some are fighting alone, others are fighting together, it's a complete chaos and not looking good when all of a sudden we hear dragons. Just as they are getting overwhelmed, Daenerys and her dragons arrive. Dany has come with her 3 dragons to save the day, but she must first help fight back the White Horde and find a place to land that wouldn't cause ice to break and her dragons or Jon and his team to drown. As everyone starts getting on Drogon and Rhaegal and as Viserion breathes fire at the army of the dead, Jon stays back fighting whites on his own to let the others board the dragons and pretty much says, "Well, here I am," like a challenge for the whites to come and fight him. The Night King takes a spear made out of crystal ice and throws it at Viserion, who is flying overhead. The Night King hits Viserion's neck with one throw and brings him down. When Viserion falls, he falls on the ice, breaking it and sinking under the water. As this happens, Jon hurries to get on top of Drogon but falls when Drogon takes off. Jon sinks under the lake and Dany thinks that Jon has died, leaving with the survivors that were able to somehow keep the captured white with them. After all of this, a wounded Jon swims back to the surface where the whole undead army is there surrounding him. That's when Uncle Benjen comes to rescue and gives up his life for Jon by setting Jon on his horse to ride back to the Wall. The survivors make it back to Eastwatch and Daenerys is traumatized and heartbroken for the loss of her child, but the mission must continue. Jon arrives at Eastwatch as well, badly wounded, and is a bit later loaded onto a ship heading towards King's Landing along with Dany and others. The Hound is entrusted with taking Dwight to the Dragon Pit. In the ship, Daenerys goes to check up wounded Jon. Jon sees how hurt she is for losing her dragon, so Jon tries to comfort her, which is when Dany tells him, "He was like a son to me, it's like they have taken my son from me." This matches with the leaked script page of the 6th episode. As we can see, Daenerys then also gives a speech in which she states, or more accurately promises, that they are going to destroy this Night King and his army of dead men. "We'll do it together, you have my word." Jon calls Daenerys Dany, which takes her back a little, and says that no one has called her by that name since her brother. Jon responds with something like, "What would you like me to call you? Your Grace?" Dany says that she didn't mean it like that, it's just been a while since someone had called her that, and it was very personal. Then Jon goes on to say that he would bend the knee if he could, but makes a notion that he literally can't do the same because of his injuries. This takes Dany by surprise and she shockingly asks, "What about those who swore allegiance to you?" The scene then cuts to north of the Wall where the Night King orders Viserion to be pulled up from the lake. The Whites pretty much fish him out of the lake with giant chains and pull him out. He is dead, but then he opens his eyes as blue as the Night King's. Viserion is brought back to life. In Winterfell, Arya brings the letter she found in Littlefinger's room and confronts Sansa with the same letters Sansa had made to sign back in the very first season. Sansa says something along the line, "I had to do it in order to survive." A bit later, Littlefinger keeps trying to get in between Jon and Sansa by telling Sansa that Jon has left them and that he doesn't care about the North. Littlefinger continues his manipulation, to which Sansa gets tired of his lies and tells him that Jon is a king and that he should pretty much stop trying to get in her head. There's not much left in Winterfell, only that Sansa receives a raven from King's Landing to join a meeting requested by Jon and Daenerys. Sansa tells Brienne that she needs to go to the Dragon Pit to represent her since she is the Lady of Winterfell. Brienne at first doesn't want to go since she swore an oath to protect her, but when she finds out that Jaime will be there as well, Brienne agrees to go. Brienne believes she will be safe, she truly believes Jaime to be an honorable man. So she does some sneaking around and even possibly finds all the faces and poisons Arya owns, while Arya on the other hand wants to know Sansa's opinion regarding Cersei and Jon, as well as if she wants the North for herself. There are also a few scenes from Dragonstone in this episode. Before Daenerys receives a plead to help from Jon via Gendry, Dany is seen being nervous for Jon and Jorah, but mostly for Jon. Tyrion then witnesses how much Daenerys starts to care about Jon and is uninterested in anything but news of Jon, which is when the Raven arrives from the north asking for help, to which she goes just to help Jon. Before Daenerys leaves, Tyrion chases her, telling that she can't go and help them because if she doesn't and dies, everything that they have been trying to accomplish will be for nothing. Tyrion doesn't manage to convince Daenerys not to go beyond the Wall, Dany leaves riding Drogon with the other two following her. As you have probably noticed, those events and scenes are a bit out of order, but almost every event mentioned in those leaks seem to be already confirmed by either promos or trailers. Let me just highlight that the episode ends with a scene in which Viserion is being pulled up from the lake and is being raised from death by the Night King to act as his minion. If all of this comes true, the 6th episode would definitely be one of the show's best episodes yet produced. We'll have a huge fight in which the current best warriors in the Seven Kingdoms will face off the White Walkers and their army of the dead. Even though during this battle, Thoros and Daenerys' dragon Viserion will get killed, it seems that mission will be kind of accomplished as they will supposedly capture White and a bit later prove to all the lords, ladies, queens and kings that the real war is in the north and that it is coming. There you have it guys, detailed review for the 6th episode of the season.